just want to rush through a couple of bits and pieces with regards to the application. Those of you who have put in an expression of interest, you'll have received your application. I want you to take some time to fill that out, and I'm happy to stay around this evening if you want to discuss that as well. You'll also notice that there is an event offer where the price is reduced at the back there. For those of you that do decide to put in that expression of interest in that offer today, it does actually come down to $19.97 per month instead of the $24.97. Normally I do charge $24.97 if somebody comes to me during the year for this. But as an event offer, we have decided to make that $19.97 per month for 13 months instead of the $24.97. Does that make sense? Does everyone see that who have the application? You see that on that back page there where you've got the actual full normal price is the $24.97. The event offer today only is $19.97 by 13 plus your 500 application. So it comes down, instead of 28,000 odd, it comes down to about 24,997. Okay? So just have a read through that. Make sure you're very, very clear about that.
And if you pay it one time?
I think it was the 24,997 instead of the 28. So, yeah. Yeah, it's about 1,000 or something difference in instalments. All right. This is the beautiful John and Leonie. Some of you met them at the book launch gala last night, and this is them talking about the program. This might answer, for some of you not sure, this might answer some of your questions as well. Oh, we don't have any sound.
Expectations, Maggie's team are amazing. Okay, everything that they promised.
Just finish it. Are we connected yet? I better turn that down. Did you see it there?
No, it's not written on, so...
It should be on the... Or did you... Yeah, it's at the second last back page, or the back page. Event offer, 13 by 1997. Got it? Yeah. Cool.
We fail already, right?
Yes, I'm watching. All right. This is beautiful John and Leonie.
We're really, really happy with this training. It's far meeting our expectations. Maggie's team are amazing. Everything that they promise up front is delivered and far more.
Well worth it.
Yeah, we've bought so many training courses before and done different things, and we've never ever done a course with this level of commitment and support, and yeah, it's just been amazing. And it costs quite a lot of money, but I think the value far exceeds what we've paid. Yeah, we're just really excited and would highly recommend this training to anybody.
She keeps you accountable in a nice way. It's really great.
That's what we need. Not nice.
We've done so many courses, but and we just needed it.
Yeah, so this has been fabulous. You've got to do it. You've just got to do it.
But then they let me show you this one. This is a little blue pill, but they're happy.
No, it's working.
This was them trying to do their testimonial.
Start again.
G'day, John and Leonie Connell here from the Academy of Therapeutic Hypnosis. Hypnosis. Hello, John and Leonie here from the Academy of Therapeutic Hypnosis. Okay, you do it.
We're from the Academy of Therapeutic Hypnosis.
She messed it up.
Oh, John and Leonie here.
We're from the Academy of Therapeutic Hypnosis in Sydney.
And we're just...
I love them to bits. And this is Amanda Dunas, actually. She did she's doing the children's book. And actually, I put this up she posted this just the other day. Before she's even got her book out, we've just been slowly building a little audience on social media, and she's already sold something like 180 books or something before the book's even out. And this was just one post she did the other day, and they're saying, give me 2, please. I'll have 2, please. I'll have 2, please. So I just thought that was really lovely.
Hello, my name is Amanda Dunas. I'm from the Positive Thinking Clinic at Wallay Creek. I've been working alongside Business by Design, in particularly Maggie Wild and her wonderful team. What happened is in June, I went to one of Maggie Wild's 3-day seminars and came out having registered to do my very first book, which I never thought I would have the opportunity to do so smoothly. So I must say that my book is nearly finished. All I've heard in the past is some horror stories about publishers and editors, and I don't know who's in the right or the wrong, but I'm here to tell you that my experience with Maggie has been nothing but smooth. I thought I would have to work less in my career. I thought I would have to set aside a lot of time, miss out on family. I thought it would be a great interruption to my life so that I can squeeze in doing my very first book. But I learned very on that Maggie gives you very clear steps. And if you just listen to what Maggie and her team say, it's like you're being held by the hand. Maggie keeps an eye on you to ensure that you get everything done smoothly without headache. She's always there to support you if you have any questions. So is her team. And I can't believe that I've already done my first draft so easy. Maggie has this wonderful way of delivering instructions so that you don't feel pressured. She took us on a book writing retreat that whilst I was there, I really wondered how much writing was I going to get done. When we came back out of that so we can polish our draft before we handed it into Maggie, I realised that she was able to get us to think so unique, lateral, creative, and we just wrote away. So it was just such a wonderful 3-day event. And Maggie just has a real wonderful way of taking pressure off you if she suspects that you're feeling overwhelmed. So I really am glad that I've come onto this journey with Maggie and her team. I can't believe that I'm writing a book so easily, smoothly, without the headache, those horror stories that I've heard in the past. So I thank Maggie and her team for all the support. There's not much to go now, and I pretty much imagine that it's going to be just as smooth finishing up everything. The launch is only just over a month away, and I just can't believe, how did that happen? Thank you, Maggie.
Isn't she beautiful? And I didn't pay her a cent, I promise you. She is just gorgeous. Who met her last night? Isn't she just divine? So delicious, so delicious. And so, as you see it, like when we did her photo shoot at the author retreat, she wanted to just be shown for her ideal audience, which are kids. She deals with kids from around the age of 4 because she's got 4 childcare centres right up to about the age of 15 and 16. And so she wanted to be photographed in her, kids' play clothes, and she wanted her hopscotch image up on, because we took her outside and had her photographed on a hopscotch field. And she just wanted because she wanted to play with it. She wanted to have fun, and she was meeting the needs of her market, wasn't she? If we had her up there in a corporate thing, do you think kids are going to relate to that? So she's just absolutely bounds of fun, lots and lots of fun and joy. All right, so we're just going to go through some organic reach ideas. Can I have my 12-page organic reach formula document to hand out to everyone? And we'll do online funnels, and we're going to do offline and online traditional media as well, and offline media as well. work with me on it. This can actually help you build an audience that is very targeted to your specific niche, very targeted to your message, and an audience that can already begin. So that's why our authors are starting to already sell books before they've even got their books out, because we've been building their audience this way as well, okay? So there's actually a 12-week schedule in that gives you the ability to post over a 12-week schedule, tells you exactly what to do a couple of times a week. It says, do a live video on this day, you move it around, adapt to the days, post a blog this day, post to such and such that way, post a type of ad here, these are all free posts, these are not paid ads, okay? And over that period of that 12 weeks, if you follow that program and you combined it with the posting schedule that Annie's going to give you as well, which talks about the types of emotions you should be posting about. So if you combine my posting schedule with Annie's posting schedule, you have the emotional, psychological message, what to post and when to post, and you have the type of post to post as well, whether it's an image ad, an image post, a video post, a blog post, a shared post of somebody else's stuff, a shared video from YouTube, whatever it is it's instructing you to do. So if you followed that over a period of 12 weeks, you would have a video view audience of, well, it's unlimited really, but I think I've put there in 90 days or less, yeah, where you can actually build a video view audience. And that then gives you the ability to retarget what Sheni was talking about, retarget that video view audience. So your posting is to not only your warm audience on your own Facebook pages or your Facebook groups if you have them, but also to a cold audience to try and get that on the newsfeed. And I'll take you through in a moment my organic reach formula for helping a post stay on the newsfeed. One of the ways to do that is to make it a live video, but if you're not comfortable doing lives, and some people aren't, and I'm okay with that, I'm not going to force you to do it. You don't force your people to do it if they don't want to do lives, do you?
Yeah, go for it.
But you highly recommend, but I would also train you in lives if you're not comfortable with that. And I have a secret group on Facebook for people who aren't comfortable going live. They can practice in that group and no one else can see it except me and the people in the group. And I give you feedback on that until you're comfortable going live on your own pages anyway. So we give you structure, we give you an actual schedule which is in there of how to actually structure your lives. If you read that document from cover to cover and put it into action, you will actually be able to have around 3 months of posting schedules and content already pre-planned, that you just have to put it into place. So you can pop it in your diary and say, today I've got to do this, or tomorrow I've got to do that, or tomorrow I go live and I already know what topic I'm going to be talking about. Because who's fearful of going live because you're not quite sure, what am I going to talk about today? What am I going to, and I still feel that sometimes. But once I've done if I've sat down at the beginning of the month and done my schedule of 2 lives a week, and I've worked out what my topic is because I plan my marketing campaign for the next 2-3 months, then I know what I'm focusing on for that 2 or 3 months. I then use answerthepublic.com. Do you remember that site that we talked about? I think it was back on day 1, where we talked about if you put your topic into that, it will give you the questions people are already asking on Google, and then I actually plan my topics around that. So I know for the month, I'm going to do 8 lives for that month, try and do 2 a week, and I've already decided what topic I'm going to be talking about in each of those 8 lives. Make sense? So answerthepublic.com. Answerthepublic.com. It's on page 6 of the document. Yep. So it's just a website where you can type in a topic, and you might have been away on Friday. You were out of the room. I think I remember that. And you type in the topic, and it will give you every question that's being asked on Google about that topic, in all the different formats: the what, who, how, when, and why. It'll give you all of those.
So would you do this on your personal page as well as your public group, as well as your business page?
It depends on which page you've set up as your main page that has your main audience.
So
and then I share it to all of my own, everything else I do, as well as other people's groups with permission.
Okay, so at the moment it's a public group, so I'll be doing it in the public group first and foremost. Okay, thank you.
Was that me? Went too forward? I came too close. Go back. So yes, you look at your main page that your main audience is kind of connecting and interacting with you on, and build it from there. All right. So if because your group has grown very, very quickly, and you've already got a very specific targeted audience in that group, so begin to evolve that. Is it a closed group or an open group?
It is open.
It's public group. So you can actually share from a public group to your page, can't you?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
If it was a closed group, you wouldn't be able to share. So because it's a public group, but if you think it's ever going to go closed, you might want to share on your main page and then share it into the group. Make sense? So have a think about that. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
If you think one day it was going to be a closed group for maybe a paid audience, people who've actually paid for one of your courses or something. But for the moment, what would you do? Would you post on your main page and then share it in the group always, or?
Not always. No, it must be a mix.
Yeah.
Otherwise they feel as though you're just promoting to them all the time to get the action on your page. Yeah.
So you might want to do maybe one, if you're doing 2 a week, one live on your main business page and one live in the group. And then cross-share, cross-pollinate. As well as you can, once you've gone live, if you've got a list of groups that are relevant to you and relevant to your audience, read the group rules. And I've actually got a list in my office up on the wall of the days of the week that other relevant groups to my business allow me to post my stuff. Yeah. And so on Tuesday, I know that group allows me to do this. On Wednesday, I know that group allows me to do that. And so if I'm running a campaign, I just look at my schedule and go, okay, it's Tuesday today. I can post that. I can share that over there as well. Yeah. And then they start to share on your page and stuff, and you're cross-pollinating. You're actually really, it's like a kind of a freebie joint venture, which is fabulous. All right. There's also in that document, can I have one of them actually? Is there a spare one? There is the one thing I'll draw your attention to right now is a live, organic 7-day formula for improving your post longevity on the newsfeed. So if you go to page 8, who's the clever one? Somebody's a fast reader. Not 8 for me. Oh, on the back, yes. That was easy. Turn it over. So it's a 7-step organic reach formula. So if you post something on Facebook, and Annie and both Shani were talking about, if it doesn't get a lot of interaction, if it doesn't get any interaction, then the algorithms just stop showing it. It's not on the news feed for very long. Okay, the way to keep it on the news feed for up to 7 days without having to keep reposting something new is to follow this formula. And a number of my students who've actually really followed this to a key have improved their organic reach dramatically, really quick. Karen DeMol, one of our other authors with Megan Harris, they follow this really dramatically, and their organic reach on their pages and in their groups has picked up dramatically in the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks or so that they've been using it. I think, I'm not sure whether Joy used this. Did you use this formula?
I was a bad girl.
You didn't use the formula, Joy, but you will now, won't you?
I'm committing myself.
Great. But there's a couple of people I've spoken to at the AHA who've actually taken this on board. And this is like anything. You go to a workshop and you either choose to follow through and take what you're given on board and make something of it, or you don't. Amanda Jonas, who you just saw, who's now doing this program, she went to one of my workshops at association or something like that. She took this document and she went, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. And she got up to about 8 weeks. And she said that it was a dramatic shift in the amount of interaction and the amount of likes and followers on her page as well, organically, without boosting anything, without paying for anything. It just happens organically if you do that. And then later on, if you've already got an audience that's talking and communicating and connecting with you and connecting with each other as well, which is what Facebook wants, then when you do some Facebook ads, when you do spend a little bit money, it costs you less, per click. And that's the key. And that's what this is meant to be. It's not your total solution, but I believe if you can do everything you can to grow your audience organically first, then when you do spend money, the money is better spent, you spend less of it, and you reach a bigger audience, and you reach a warmer audience already. So your ad spend is far less. Your cost per registration or your cost per click or your cost per sale drops down dramatically. Okay, so on this, it's day one, you'll do your post, so it might be your live. I highly recommend 2 lives a week. Sometimes I'm guilty of not doing that because I get too busy, but when I'm actively trying to build a new audience, I do this without fail. Okay, and so I will do my post or my live on that first day, and I won't actually do anything. I don't like anybody's comments. I don't comment back. I don't do anything on day one. I just get a feel for whether there's any organic reach that I'm actually getting already. On day 2, I will actually then start liking the comments and commenting back on day 2 and 3. And I comment back, I don't reply. Because replying back Facebook doesn't pick that up as a new interaction, whereas if you comment back to them and tag them, it picks it up as a new interaction. So the bots think your post is getting lots and lots of organic reach. Does that make sense? I would only ever spend any money on that post if by day 2 and 3 it's already getting traction. If it's not getting traction, don't waste your money on it, because the cost for the reach that you will get will be much higher if it's not getting organic reach. You'll get a much lower cost per reach if you have interaction on it already. So day 2 and 3, you're kind of liking back, you're commenting back, you're starting to get some interaction on it. Day 4, you continue commenting and liking any new comments that have come up and replying back. And you might begin remarketing if you haven't already started marketing that, again, if it's got some traction. Day 5, I normally put a new comment on it. So if the comments are starting to slow down and the interaction's starting to slow down, I'll put a new comment. And day 6, I'll ask one of my colleagues or my daughter-in-law or somebody else who's active on social media to comment on it too. So you're getting fresh input. All of a sudden it's back on. After 5 days of posting, your post is back on the newsfeed organically again. Does that make sense? So all the while you're building that reach and that engagement, which is what Facebook wants to see. It wants to see the interactions, the loves and the comments and the people talking to people. And that's what it wants on Facebook. It wants people talking to people. Okay. Day 6, you're liking back, making sure you get every comment. I've actually had some people complain, how come you commented on their post and on their comment and not mine? And I've had people private message me if I've missed one by mistake. So if you are commenting back on each person's comment, then of course make sure you get as many as you can. And day 7, continue commenting and liking. You can hit the replay button. You can actually type replay in to bring it back up to the top of it. If it's in a group, you can actually pin it to the top of the page if it's getting a lot of traction, so that it's the first thing people see, that when they come to your page, they see that there's a very active page. Does that make sense? So have a play with that, have fun with it, and don't see it as a chore, but just if you wish to commit to doing it for just the next 2 weeks, to every post that you do, to just see if you get, and just have write down the kind of traction you're getting right now, 2 likes, 3 comments, 5 comments, 6 comments, whatever it is, and then in 2 weeks' time compare and just see what's happened. Okay? And message me if you're not sure what to do, if that's not clear enough. But the document is much more detailed than that. This could be worth the difference between having an audience of, 100 people and 2,000 people. It could be the difference between having an audience of 1,000 people and 100,000 people and I'm talking video view audiences if you do your 2 lives. So you can create a video view audience who are now what we call a warm audience. because they've seen what you've done, they've interacted because you've kept it on the news feed, and they're now considered a warm audience. So when we talk about retargeting, when we get to an ad campaign then, we would be retargeting our video view audience, wouldn't we? So if all of our, say our 3 months of posting and lives have been targeted towards the release of your book, by the end of 3 months, we now have a video view audience of 100,000 people or whoever it is that we can now retarget to market your book to. Does that make sense? So the closer we get to launch, we'll be focusing on actually producing these video view audiences that are very specifically targeted to the people that are your target reader, your ideal audience for your book. Cool? But doesn't mean you can't start now. And whether you're doing the program with me or not, I highly recommend. I can only put it in your hand. I can't make you use it, but I promise you the people that have used it have made a huge difference to the amount of interaction that they're getting on their pages. Cool? Wicked. That's all I want to say about that. Other than I'm reiterating what Annie has said before. I know Sheni said it as well. Live, 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 live. Facebook loves live video. And it will actually, it does like pre-recorded video as well, and it will show them. But I think it's live gets preference for the first 24 hours or 48 hours.
That I don't know.
I think last time I read it was in the results, it was actually for the first 24 hours, live gets preference on the news feed. After that, pre-recorded video and live are equal. But if you're using the 7-step formula, the live will stay more active than the pre-recorded was, because if you're using it on that, and live is obviously much more organic, it's much more personable, and you're creating connection with the person. We have a question here.
What would you suggest is the average live time? I did 2 very long ones and I realised later that was a bad choice. One was quite interactive, the other one wasn't so. So how long is kind of ideal?
Look, it used to be the shorter the better, but actually I know this was the case in the Facebook Summit over in the States last year. The recommendation was over 3 minutes. Because the algorithms the bots haven't been able to find the audience for you under 3 minutes. It takes up to 3 minutes or more for the bots to go out and try and seek the audience that's right for you. So if your lives are under 3 minutes, the bots haven't had a chance to get as big an audience as they possibly can for you. Is that still the case? Have you heard any different to that?
My answer is you make it as long as it is interesting.
Yeah, that was my next comment as well. Minimum, I would be doing a minimum of 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Yeah, and as long as the audience is still interested, as long as you've got an audience still there kind of interacting, as long as the content is interesting, and remember whether you've got one person watching or 10 or none, if the content is good and you then do like an organic reach campaign like that, then you're likely to get an audience after that, okay? And if you get no audience on the first one, don't give up and go, oh my God, nobody loves me. Yeah, I promise you, I still get some lives where nobody's watching. Depends on the time of the day, it depends on if they're busy, it depends on what's happening. But if your message is good, and you're doing something interesting, or you're offering a great inspiration, an emotional connection, an education, a strategy, some sort of transformation, like I'll actually do control and rewire and program audios and lives on Facebook where people are actually getting a little transformation, where we switch off a sugar craving today, or we switch off sabotage pattern today, or we'll do something active like that. People get used to your techniques, used to your theories, used to your therapies, and they get used to you and they build a relationship with you. So they start seeking out your lives from that point forward. Does that make sense? We have a question just here.
Maggie, the best times for a live?
Again, that really depends on your audience. It depends on, I can do a live at 11 o'clock at night sometimes where I'm just going to bed, and it's the only chance of the day I've had to do one, and it might not get a lot of traction then, but because I'm doing a 7-day organic reach, it gets traction over the following few days. It depends on your audience, whether they're up at that time of night or not. Do you have a preference? Let's have this comment first, and then we'll come to Annie.
I polled mine. I treated them like a 2-year-old, and I said, would you like your live at 7:30 or 8:30?
Yep.
Rather than giving them carte blanche, saying, oh, do it at 6:30 a.m. or, I just gave them
two options.
Like, what do you want for breakfast? Toast or, crackers? Yeah. Fruit or whatever, You just don't give them the option, but give them an option. And if they all come back and go nothing, then you just put out another bowl.
Yep.
And just the other thing I did, which got really good traction, I made them an event.
Yes.
So I actually told people on Wednesday, the following Thursday at 7:30, I was doing G for gluten. And then the next week it was, I for iron. And I had a little thing. And it didn't matter whether people said they were going or not. At least it was up there and I could comment on it like you said, and it went back up as a post.
Yep.
And then the other thing I did was I already made a little meme up with the 3 points that was the thing that I posted after the event, which was my follow-up. So I was on theme for that whole week.
That's the key.
And I just kept the theme. So
planning.
Which is why I picked the alphabet. Just go for those first 12 letters of the alphabet, or just, it was just my starting point.
Yep. Well done.
And I'm going to go back and do it again because I did that's how I started mine.
Oh,
and I fell off the wagon.
Fantastic. All right.
I'm back on now.
And whilst we're just waiting for the microphone to go to Annie as well, the key is that consistency and multiple ways of promoting it. When I've got a specific campaign going on, I actually send out an email. So I had a regular live that used to happen every Saturday morning, at around 10 a.m. Queensland time. And I would put out an email that went out at 9 a.m. So I'd put out an email on the Friday afternoon saying, don't forget I'm going live. Tomorrow's topic is XYZ. And I was specifically doing that for practitioners, and it was about social media or marketing or all those sorts of things. And then on Saturday morning, an hour before, I would had an email scheduled that said, going live in an hour. And then I would also have a post at the same time that was pre-scheduled on Facebook with a TV screen that said going live in 5 minutes. And that would be scheduled to go out on my page 5 minutes before I went live. And we used to get it from week one, where we would get 3 or 4 people watching. By the end of it, that was a 3-month campaign. By the end of it, we were having 30 and 40 people on the lives, okay? Just by doing that combined regular live that people came to expect and me letting them know about it as well.
Just before I got sick, I started talking about doing Annie TV and set up a special website, just questions@anniography.com, where people send through any marketing questions, whether it's photographers or businesses or anything like that. And at 1 o'clock every Tuesday, I'm going to be live. So, and that will become a thing, how you log into the news at 6 o'clock and do all that sort of thing. But the other live strategy should be, if you do it at 6 o'clock one day, do it at 10 o'clock the next morning, or, a couple of mornings later, whatever. Don't do it at the same time unless you're going to don't do all your lives at night, because you're missing the whole morning crowd.
Yep.
So, yeah. But the TV show's cool.
And when you get a regular audience anyway who are following you for it, whatever time of the day you go live, if they miss it when you're live, they chase it up later. Yeah, and they get notified you're live. You can also actually syndicate your lives, so that if you've got multiple pages and multiple online social media platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter and all of those things, you can use a system called liveleap.com, live leap as in leapfrog. And I think it's about $10 a month. And what it does is you connect up all your social media, all your pages, and if you go live on your main page, it shows live on your group, it shows live on your other pages that you've connected up at the same time. And it doesn't show live in LinkedIn and Twitter, but what it does say is a post goes up on LinkedIn and Twitter and says, Maggie Wild is live on Facebook, click here to join her now. Yeah. Oh, I can see Amanda having apoplexy about that one.
I've got this group, but because I privated it and I want it private, I'm not going anywhere with it. Like,
Oh, I see. So she's got a private group. Is that a secret group?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because of some of the stuff that's
And because the live is secret, it doesn't go anywhere with it. If it's a secret group, you still can't share it in other places because it's a secret group.
But I can do it on my business page and it will share into the group though.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely. So we do that. We hook up a couple of pages that are connected. Obviously, it would, if I'm doing a live on, say, a weight loss campaign or an emotional eating campaign, I would only be sharing it and linking it through Lively to my emotional eating or my Unzip Weight pages. I wouldn't be doing it to anything that's irrelevant to that. Yeah. But that's actually quite a useful tool as well. And again, as I say, with LinkedIn, it won't actually show the live, but it will say, she's live right now, join her, click the link. And that's you. And it will do it on Twitter as well. I don't know whether it does it on Instagram. I haven't actually connected up. I don't think it does. Yeah, it would only do Insta Story anyway, and my lives are usually a little bit longer than what Insta Story allows. So yes, that's actually a very useful tool as well. Is that helpful to you?
very nice.
So whether you're doing the program or not, I highly recommend you read that document. If you are doing the program, I'm going to be guiding you through that document within a couple of months of you starting. Once we get the book kind of ready and kind of formatted and we want to build that audience, then we're going to be guiding you through that document in a very structured way and teaching you how to do it well and teaching you how to get the best out of your lives and the best out of your video view audience building as well. Any questions about that? Oh, we've just given you some gold there. Oh, LinkedIn. That's what we wanted to very briefly talk about. Just want to keep an eye on the time. Where are we at? 4:30. LinkedIn strategy. One of the things that I highly recommend with LinkedIn is doing your articles. So instead of, who does regular blogging? Or at least like monthly or every couple of months or... instead of sharing blogs and posts and things on LinkedIn, one of the best ways to get interaction on LinkedIn and to utilize LinkedIn to its fullest is actually to write articles. So even if you've already got a blog, rather than having to write a whole new article, you just take that, rather than sharing the blog as a link like you would on Facebook, you actually just copy and paste the blog and start a new article in LinkedIn. Paste the article, make sure you add in all the links, like links to your website, links to URL, links to any landing page that's relevant to the article, anything that you think is going to help you achieve the outcome of the call to action in that. Put a call to action in it, of course, where you're taking the audience to somewhere, and then you post the article, and that is shown more organically on LinkedIn as well. Plus, it's more likely to get you interactions. And it only takes about 2 or 3 articles in a row for you to start getting some traction on LinkedIn as well. And then share that article in relevant groups. So I highly recommend you do a search on LinkedIn for the groups that are relevant to your target audience and share that article so that you become known as an expert in a field by sharing articles. Does that make sense? I can see some...
So where am I posting the article first?
So if you go to the LinkedIn front homepage, it says write an article or post, yeah? And so you're going to write an article, copy your blog into it as an article. Don't just copy the link from your blog. You know how in Facebook you would go to your blog, take the link, paste that in as a post. Don't do that on LinkedIn. Turn it into a full article, add an image, add a video, whatever it is you're going to do, and then put your backlinks to your landing pages inside it. There's no limit to the amount of times you can actually backlink in LinkedIn. You can actually do that and it doesn't cost you anything. And the regularity of posting articles gets you a much more organic reach on LinkedIn.
So
We'll just use that.
Can you use the transcript from your videos as your articles?
Hell yeah. So if you do a live on Facebook This is all about multi-purposing your content and doing it once and sharing it everywhere. If you do a live on Facebook, get it transcribed. So download it from Facebook, send it to rev.com or whatever you're going to do, and edit that into an article, and then you literally put that up on LinkedIn and anywhere else. You can turn that into your blog. You can turn it into anything you want, because you're multi-purposing the same message then. And it's a great way to make article writing or blog writing really much faster and much quicker. Great idea. Anything else? Any questions on that? Highly recommend with doing your due diligence with LinkedIn, because some of the groups there, they've got hundreds of thousands of members, but there's not many of them that are really active. Does that make sense? So do your due diligence and find the relevant groups that are actually really active. And then I usually spend, if I've decided I'm targeting a particular market in LinkedIn, I'll spend, say, a couple of weeks just testing that group to see if I post a few articles, to see if anyone's kind of responding, if they're getting the right kinds of responses, or whether they're, just there to sell each other and sell themselves. Then I'll make my decision about whether I pull out of those groups at that point. Yeah, sure. Kira's got a few tips on LinkedIn for us. Cool.
So LinkedIn, can everyone hear me okay? Yep. Hear me well? Okay. LinkedIn is actually sort of similar to social media like Facebook. So once you get a grasp of Facebook, I would say then have a go at LinkedIn. You can actually create business pages with unique URLs and post to the same pages, like the business pages on LinkedIn, like you would on Facebook. You can also, so you would use professional photography in your profile pics and things, the same that you would do on Facebook, you pretty much do on LinkedIn as well. So profile pic would be professional, your bio, about your business, links to your business website. The information that you're sort of sharing, it is business to business, so you do try to keep it very professional on the site. But you can do it like it works pretty much the same way Facebook does once you sort of get into it. So I would say wrap your head around Facebook first, and then you sort of apply the similar techniques to LinkedIn. Cool. And YouTube's the same. You can actually create business pages on your LinkedIn, create your own URL, and you do the same thing. So they all sort of, if you start with Facebook, then you can sort of expand from there. But I'd say start with Facebook first and then expand.
Yep. And YouTube as well is a great little resource if you're doing video on YouTube and you've already got a URL for a landing page. Always make sure you put that in there. If you're doing a video on a particular campaign that you're running, then have a landing page set up for it. You can add that free of charge in your comments about your video and having that linked through. And if you do a series of videos, you can actually take them through a process where an organic sale can happen quite quickly. And there's lots of little ways you can do that, but that's about really creating your subscription base and posting videos regularly. And remember, you can cross-pollinate. If you're doing lives on Facebook, download them, upload them to YouTube. It's so easy to do that nowadays. You can actually share the material everywhere. Cool? And again, that's all about branding, isn't it? You're cross-pollinating the branding across all of the social media that you're using. Any other questions there before I move on? Because we've got to get to world domination first. So that's your e-course marketing book that we've just given you there. Make sure you have a really good read of that. I'm just going to quickly go through some of my top digital marketing funnels and what worked, what didn't, why they worked, and go from there. It can be overwhelming. Everyone does understand what the funnel is now, and that you're starting with a cold audience and you're helping funnel them down into a particular outcome that you've chosen that you want to get them to, whether that's to purchase something, whether that's to download a freebie, whether it's to upsell, to downsell, to do whatever it is. It has a specific outcome that you're after.
What is downselling?
Say, for instance, with my Emotional Eating Solutions course, $2,200, and at the end of the program, I downsell to a membership program. Make sense? So you're downselling to something else. Upselling is you might upsell to a big coaching program or something like that. So it can be overwhelming if you're not careful and if you don't have the right. Obviously, there's technical abilities that need to be created and learned in building funnels, and an understanding of the kind of software and things like that you need. And as Annie said, it can take hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of hours to learn how to be a master at this. And, you know, I don't know how many hours you would say Chris has spent, your son has spent on learning. I can't even imagine to become a master at it. It doesn't mean to say that you can't then learn from the masters by following what they do. Make sense? And a lot of the funnels for particular styles of funnels have in ClickFunnels that you can buy as a template. A lot of those Chris has actually designed. So, you know, we can certainly find out which ones they are, which ones he would recommend, and we can find out which ones to buy.
It's in the page. You can get some basic ones for free, and then there's paid ones. And just search for Chris Murray. His will come up.
So search for Chris Murray on ClickFunnels, and some of his funnels will come up there. I think he's got a book one. He's got a...
There's a automated webinar one.
Yeah.
There's all different sorts. And he was the number one seller on that marketplace for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
However, we'll show you some of his and some of Annie's and some of mine, and we'll go from there. So the purpose for a funnel is to build a list that's leading to an outcome of your choice, whether that's list building to get them to sign up for something, or whether, as I said, it's to actually make a purchase or download a free PDF of your book in order to then upsell to the paperback copy. Yep, there's lots of ways that you can use a funnel. You need to start while you're planning, in the planning phase of your book. You need to start thinking about how the outcomes and the types of lead magnets and things, and it kind of all goes in hand as we're pulling all of that together. And these are some of my favourites. For those of you technologically, who are unsure of the multiple names that these are called, some people call them opt-in pages, lead pages, squeeze pages. They're all the same thing, okay? They're just different names for them. And really all they are is a one-page website. Okay, now it can be either your URL. So if your website is, say, for instance, my website is thepotentialist.com, and a squeeze page can be /free book, or /WBBD event, or / and that can be just your website and the landing page is attached to it. Does that make sense? So it's just a hidden page behind your website. Or it can be a URL in its own right, and it's called just a single page website. All of it is just an opt-in page, yeah? And it has one purpose. An opt-in page doesn't say, do this, then do this, then do this, and then you might want to give me a call. An opt-in page is just simply you're either providing your email address to receive a free download, or you're providing your email address to get a free book, or you're providing your email address to register for a page or to get some more information. So it's one outcome. We never have more than one outcome on or one call to action on a squeeze page. Does that make sense? This was one that was very, very successful and actually was the precursor to the WBBD event. And Chris Murray helped me design this alongside Annie, which was one of our very, very early ones. I think we spent about $2,200, I think, on marketing this particular funnel, and it made about $39,000 within the first couple of, I think it was about the first 8 days of launching it. So it was a simple opt-in. And I did it as a testing campaign. I think I mentioned that the other day. It was just a test to see whether this opt-in was going to be popular or not. And it was to practitioners, of course, and it was essential language patterns to enhance trance, or enhance and deepen relaxation and trance. And it was genuinely a list of about, I think there was about 120 originally that I had. When I first became a hypnosis practitioner, I wanted to master the art of embedded commands and master the art of deepening trance, and I wanted to be able to do that without having to read scripts. I didn't believe in scripts. I didn't want to learn that way. I wanted to be an intuitive practitioner, and I wanted to be able to let go of scripts really, really easily and quickly. And so I just made a list of all my favourite kind of embedded commands that I had read about in other scripts or I'd seen and heard other practitioners do, all of that stuff. And I made a list of my favourites as well as the ones that I'd started to develop myself. And that list was over 100 originally. And I remember I used to talk about it because I used to teach the diploma and the certificate in clinical hypnosis at an RTO, at a registered training organisation. And I used to say to these people, I've got this list of embedded commands that, I found really useful, because people would say to me, how come they just kind of spin off, they'll do a demonstration on hypnosis and all this stuff just kind of flows out of you. How do you know it all? And I said, well, I studied it. I studied embedded commands and I learned them, and I learned them by rote until they now are just part of me and they flow out of me. And I have that list, and so they used to ask me for that list. So everybody in my class would ask me for those lists, and I thought about that when I was producing this opt-in giveaway. I thought, you know what, if all my students used to ask for this, maybe the internet therapists might want it as well. And so I went through the list and I chose my top 33. I don't know why I chose 33. I just thought it was a really interesting number, and if I ever play roulette, I bet on number 33 and number 11. So I chose number 33. Yeah. And I did my top 33 embedded commands to enhance trance. It went berserk. I don't know how many people we have on our list at the moment who originally registered for this. Actually, Joy was one of them as well, who originally actually registered for this. And I've promoted multiple campaigns to that original list. I think we had about 1,000 practitioners over the world actually register for this, both from LinkedIn. I trialled it on LinkedIn as well, and from Facebook. And we've then segregated that list into practitioners who are interested in specific things. So I've marketed different products to different people from that list, and that was years ago. So this was not only an immediate income of $30,000, this has then ongoing been a tremendous lead magnet. And I'll show you why this didn't work another time as well. Amanda has a question?
I know this is old, but you talked earlier about terms and conditions. Now, when you're collecting someone's email address for this download, within those terms and conditions, I know Shopify and lots of those places have a set thing now that you can copy and paste, so your GDPR and whatever compliant. Is it just a simple word of like saying, we don't use it for anybody else as well? People know that once you give away your email address, you're going to get bombarded. It's just a given, isn't it?
Well, maybe not from me though. If
I know I've never been bombarded from you.
Yeah. But that's very clearly stated in my terms and conditions, and it should be in yours as well.
From time to time, you'll be
sacred. From time to time, potentially. I don't even do that. I very rarely do a joint venture in any way where I might share my list. From time to time, you have to have that in it. But there's a standard terms and condition that you can get hold of and actually then adapt to your own policies and your own terms and conditions within your business.
And that now needs to be clearly underneath that.
It needs to be a clear link underneath at the bottom of every website, remember? And a landing page is just a one-page website, isn't it? So you have to have your
That's why I asked it, because I thought it's not on that one now, and I thought it might be good.
No, this was done years ago. Well, not that many years ago, but years ago. Lots of stuff has changed. So do you see there's only one thing people can do on this, isn't there? They can only put their email. They have a choice to either put their email address in or not, to choose to opt in for it or not. If I had another call to action, which was, or you could call me at, that's just going to confuse the whole deal. It's not a funnel then, is it? It's actually just a marketing thing. This is a funnel. I'm giving them a choice, one choice to do one thing. So we're calling in a group of cold audiences here, and we're directing them through funneling through to one outcome, which is give Maggie your email address and you will get this. Make sense? Now, this wasn't the end of this funnel. This was the beginning, because what we then did with this funnel was we took them to, this was the above, that's what's called above the fold, and this is what's called below the fold. So above the fold is when your landing page or your website first appears on the screen. it's everything that's before you have to scroll down. Below the fold, I then had a little bit about me. And I also then had my credibility of being on television, all of that stuff, and my commitment and my history, all of that. So, and there was 2 options for the same opt-in, wasn't there? At the top, it was, yes, give me the free list now. And then when they scroll down, yes, give me the free list now. It's the same opt-in. Make sense? I'm not asking them to do 2 different things. I've just given them some more credibility on that opt-in page. Once they'd given me their details, this then went to what we call a long-form sales letter, okay? And it was then an option for them to, kind of like my long-form advertisement on Facebook for this program here. It talked them through the burnout that I had. It talked them through how I rebuilt my business, wrote a book, did all of that kind of stuff. And if they were interested in having the same kind of business model as the letter went down, they would click through again with one choice to click through and apply for a conversation with me. And so I think there was about 4 or 5 questions that they had to fill in about their business, how much they earned, where were they now, what were their interests, where did they want to go. I can't remember what was on the actual form. And then they received a thank you page saying, we'll be in touch shortly to book in a conversation. And so that then went to a conversation with me. And on that conversation, we then sold the original version of this, which was a group program, a combination of online and group webinar coaching. So it wasn't actually a kind of one-on-one done for you. It was all do it yourself. Okay. So that was one funnel. This was very successful. When we tried it again about, I think it was just under a year later, we thought, well, that was successful last time. Let's do it again. And it bombed. Well, actually, that's untrue. It didn't bomb. I didn't get the same level of inquiries. Before it was nearly 1,000 registrations. This time it was far less registrations and it cost me a lot more to get those registrations. However, out of that came 2 one-on-one programs where people wanted to join the group program after a month or 2 and decided they then wanted my one-on-one attention, and they then paid me $24,000 back then to have a year's program with me one-on-one. Does that make sense? So even though I didn't get anywhere near the leads, I earned more from that funnel the second time around. It cost me more to do it, but I earned more from it in the end result. Okay, so it's about kind of tweaking and playing and looking at the wording, and sometimes when you don't think it's successful, it ends up being successful in a totally different way that you didn't expect. Make sense? So in some ways, that one had a higher quality of lead that came through. And I think I did it not so much with the sales letter the next time. I think I did it straight to a conversation. I can't remember how I did it the next time, but it was very different anyway. This was an example of a funnel that I did for a webinar. It was a free webinar to crush your cravings, leading to the Emotional Eating Solutions program. So at the end of the webinar, we made an offer that was once a year in October, where we made an offer where it was normally $2,200, and we were offering this program for $99 a month for 12 months, which ends up at about $1,000. Okay, and this got quite a good response to the actual webinar itself, to the registrations. And it was very simple with Facebook, with your ads. You've obviously got to keep your text to a minimum. I can't remember the percentage. Is it under 20%? Yeah, under 20% text. The rest of it has to be either clean space or image. And there's actually a piece of software on Google that you can, a free piece of software, you can actually upload your image to it, and even on Facebook as well. You can upload your image to it and it will tell you whether it complies, rather than uploading your ad and finding it gets rejected. So if you go into the Facebook terms and conditions, there's actually a link that you can get there to upload your ad and see if it complies. This one was the straight image ad, yep, and it went to, again, a landing page where there's only one thing they can do, register for the webinar. I wasn't asking them to do multiple things, just register for the webinar. It didn't confuse them. It showed them exactly what there was going to be. It showed them the time, the date, and I knew that if they'd registered for it, they'd already been aware of when it was, what it was, and that it was live. Yep. Below the fold, we had, again, my credibility. We looked at the key things they're going to discover on the webinar, so we showed them exactly what they're going to get from the webinar. The credibility was there, and then the call to action, or the scarcity to show them there was only a certain amount of people on the webinar, etc. Does that make sense? And, of course, by that stage, privacy policies in place. It was a later one. This was I have a quiz. This ad and this campaign just went off. People love quizzes, absolutely love quizzes. And we just had a very simple ad for my stress and comfort eating quiz. And this funnel started with do the quiz, free quiz, and you'll immediately receive your results personalised to you, and they were very personalised to them. And we had an algorithm behind the quiz that would able to give them specific outcomes and recommendations. So it categorised them into 7 different emotional eating categories of stress eating, emotional eating, boredom eating, social eating, I can't remember some of the others, but anyway, there were 7 categories, and then it would rank them. There was an algorithm behind it to rank them point structure-wise within those categories, and it would give them the results saying if you scored between 0 and 5 in this category, it's not a concern for you. If you're 6 to 12, it's a minor concern. You might just need to be aware. If you're 12 to 15, this is a major problem for you. Perhaps you need to start addressing it. Here are some tips and suggestions. Does that make sense? And I would take them back to my YouTube videos or craving control videos. I'd actually give them something at the end of it, not just their results. Make sense? That then, we used it as a lead generation, and then we marketed the webinar to them. And when we did the Unzip Weight course as well, we then used the same quiz. And this quiz still works today. Whenever I don't advertise it very often anymore because I don't have a campaign running regularly for this program. I kind of get a lot of organic sales for this program now. So to get the amount of leads, I don't have a system in place to kind of nurture them and stuff yet, to redo that in a up-to-date way. So once I'm ready to do that again and focus again on that Unzip Weight program, I'll probably restart this again. But it's an incredible lead magnet if you ever think about doing a quiz. Happy for you to chat to me. If you are doing the program, I'm happy to help create one for you, and we can, depending on whether I do all the creation, we can own the joint copyright to it. But if I can guide you through it and you want to create it yourself, then you'll own the copyright to that as well. But it's an amazing lead magnet. I would do it again and again. And as I said, I have about 3 different quizzes that I operate for different programs. So the quiz then went to, obviously, the back end. We do it in Survey Gizmo. The kind of quiz that I've created, you cannot use the free versions. The free versions aren't going to get you the kind of calculations and things that I've created. So you have to have a paid version of your survey software. I use Survey Gizmo purely because the expert that I found on Upwork is a Canadian lady who specialises in Survey Gizmo, and she is genius, and I love her to bits. And she's helped me set up a number of different quizzes now as well. So that's that one. So the other funnel that I use every now and then and is still quite successful, I don't know whether you use this kind of thing, 3-part video series. Have you ever done anything like that?
Yes.
Yep. Do you find them successful? Yeah. I actually find this quite, I enjoy doing this as well, and I love, when I do promote this, I don't promote it often, but when I do, I love doing it, and occasionally I'll update and do a new video series for it as well. But it literally, they register again on the landing page. They can only do one thing, can't they? They can only register for the 3-part video series. I'm not asking them to do multiple things, just one thing. Below the fold, again, credibility, what you're going to learn from the 3-part video series. And then once they've logged in, they get access to the first one. And it goes live immediately. They can watch it immediately. And it tells them tomorrow you're going to automatically receive video 2. And they automatically receive video 2. And then tomorrow you're going to receive video 3. They automatically receive video 3. Some people do them as 5-part video series, 7-part video series. I think 3 is the magic option because people are short on time, short on commitment, they don't follow through. And the most success I get is when I do a 3-part video. I'm going to come to you in a second, Amanda. You can also now do this and deliver it in Messenger, which is really cool. Yeah, so you don't even have to have a landing page and a delivery page set up for this now. You could actually just have it through a bot service. You could actually have it automatically delivered in Messenger or promote it. I have a closed Unzip Wait group and I promote like a 3-day challenge or a 5-day challenge or a 3-day video series, and we do it live in a group. And then we make the offer on day 3 or day 5, depending on how long the challenge is as well. And that's another great funnel that works successfully for me. Do you do challenges?
I haven't done a challenge yet. I've got the funnel and the videos.
Yep, I've loved it. I used it numerous times for my Unzip Wait course, and I'll do that at least once a year where I'll do a 3 or a 5-day challenge, and we usually get a 30 to 40% sales conversion rate for the people that are joining the challenge. It's brilliant. So any questions on that? Because we've just gone 5+5, so I want to make sure we finish off very shortly and get you on your merry way on this beautiful Sunday. Everyone's going, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. You've given me too much. We'll forget about doing that. Gorgeous Katina was just going to tell you how good I am again, so we'll leave that. Very, very briefly, please don't forget traditional media, okay? Traditional media, I wouldn't spend the kind of money that I used to spend. In fact, I don't do any paid advertising in traditional media anymore unless it's a very targeted audience. Very rarely, extremely rarely. What I do is I do articles in traditional media. I opt in, I ask to submit articles, I get to know journalists, I research who the journalists are that write in my specialities. So if I'm in a specific area and I want to do a local campaign, I will go to all of my local papers and just research who are the journalists that consistently write about health and wellness. And I will approach them about becoming the go-to. I do that with TV as well. So if there's a particular journalist or a particular show that I think is focused on the kind of health and wellness that I'm promoting at that point, I will make a call to the producers, find out who the producers are for starters. LinkedIn is a great resource for that. If you search TV producers Channel 9 or TV producers Sunrise or TV producers Today Show, you'll come up with who's actually the producers or the head producers there or the show formatters. And there's a particular structure to a press release, which I'm happy to send out to you as a PDF as well. And both a TV press release as well as a written press release. They're very, very different, and I'll send you out that PDF. Can somebody make a note of that for me to make sure I include? Because it's very different. And when I pitch to TV, I pitch for very differently than I would to print media. Cool? The PowerPoint has a lot more about print media in it. I don't want to hold you up, so when you get the PDF of that, go through it. And the last thing I want to finish on is world domination, which are things like, that's all your stuff on print and TV specific. So I've got specific to what to do specific to television, what to do specific to radio, what to do specific to print press. If you're sending a press release, must do follow-up. I used to be the editor of a magazine. You have no idea how many press releases I got every day and every week. And I was so busy, I never got a chance to look at them unless they chased me up. And I'd feel so guilty if it was the second phone call. I'd think, oh my God, I better answer it. Yeah, because I felt guilty and I would do that. So don't disregard. If you don't get a response first time, don't give up. Follow up, make a phone call, email again, resend it saying, oh, I sent this yesterday, wasn't sure whether you got it. It's time sensitive because of Stop Smoking Week next week, or it's time sensitive because of Heart Health Week next week. Yep. And they're always looking for a different angle to, all those things that happen every year, like Christmas and Easter and Valentine's and Heart Health Week and Cancer Week and all those things. They're always looking for a new angle because they have to report on it every year. And they get so bored. So if you come up with a whole new angle and a little bit of controversy about it, something that's a bit unusual, something that's a little bit of a unique twist, they're going to love it. And when I send you the press release for television, it'll tell you that research B-rolls. B-rolls are the kind of shots that they can use whilst you're being interviewed. They can cut to other images. Yeah? With TV, they like variety. They don't want to just stay on. It's boring for them to stay visually on a person being interviewed. They'll cut away to other digital footage. If you provide ideas for that B-roll for them to cut away through by researching video on YouTube and stuff, they will thank you. You've done their job for you, and you're more likely to get chosen to fill that 2 minutes on TV. Make sense? So, these are your online. We'll make sure you have a look at these when you get this PDF, because online press releases have gotten me number one on Google so many times against big international companies. So I'll be number one if you search on that category, or if you search an article about that, I'll end up being number one on Google. A little old me in a little Sunshine Coast above some huge country companies because I got an online press release. I'll turn my blog into a press release, and then I'll upload that to either one of these online resources. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. Might cost you $30 or $40, but some of them are actually free. And it can actually you'll end up being number one on Google for some of them when they are picked up by journos. And these are the kind of sites that journos all around the world are looking for. Cool? So there's lots more on that. The last one is... last chance to get your applications in, of course. Ensure that you're actually out there, depending on whether you're looking at a local market, that you want to build your local practice, the types of things that you can do about gaining speaking opportunities, gaining opportunities to communicate to people face-to-face, offering your services, and that becomes your lead generation, or whether it's actually in networking groups, things like that. Get as many speaking gigs as you can. And I promise you, when you get good at speaking, your business builds organically. And as an author, you saw last night, as an author, you're going to have to do speaking gigs, aren't you? So it's about getting confident, practicing in front of the mirror, asking for advice as much as you can from people who are already out there doing it. Writing on others suggests like guest blogging and podcasting. There are so many podcasts out there in your field in the world. Research them and put yourself forward as a guest video podcaster, as a guest on those podcasts, or a guest blogger on their big blogs. Yeah, it will be tremendous. Same as joint ventures. A lot of the business that I get now, I actually get through joint ventures where, we will just share the commission. It might be a 50-50 deal, but I get on their lists and sometimes they get on mine, depending on the product. And if we are mutually supporting each other and the products are in alignment, then I do that maybe once or twice a year. Okay. International awards, so easy to do, and happy to share that with you in the future if you want to ask. And of course, conferences. Private labeling. If you are going to do a course, we talked about this briefly the other day. Think about if you're selling industry to industry, maybe you want to set up a generic course that you can sell the rights to and license the rights to. So think bigger than just selling a $147 course. Okay? Paid contractors to present. You can do all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. As much as you want to, that it is unlimited. Try and think out of the box with the way that you approach your business, and really open your mind to every opportunity possible. Don't close your mind. Just keep saying yes until it doesn't feel right, and then say no. Yep. Thank you so much. I know we've crammed so much into this weekend. I know there's probably a lot of questions swimming around in your mind. thank you so much for your attention and for giving your time. 3 days is a long time to give to an event like this, or to any event where you're not spending it with your family. So thank you very much. If you'd like to, those of you who have put in your application, I have gift bags here for you as little starter kits for you to get started, so don't leave without that. Those of you who still would like to put in an application, stay around, talk to me if you have questions, and we'll let you know in the next day or two if your application has been approved. Yes, that will be emailed out to you in the next couple of days. Give me a few days to get home and get sorted. My beautiful Trish Walker is away on holidays at the moment, so as soon as she's back, I've got a huge list of stuff for her to do. So within the next week, you'll get everything that we promised, including Annie's PDFs, everything like that. And Annie's PowerPoint as well. Thank you all.